be a musketeer. Tout le monde voulait être un mousquetaire, but only a select few could. One such hopeful was a very tall, very handsome young fellow. The type of fellow that if I were to describe him, I would say he was wearing a black shirt. Look at that fellow here, who stood up and he came forward to a big round of applause. Yeah! He stood up and came forward. Yeah! Up he went, that's right. And he came in the center of the room, right over here. Yes. And he wore a black belt. That's right. He was a handsome young fellow. He had an awesome smile, and he wore a golden cape. That's right. And on top of his head, he had a black hat with a golden feather. Yeah. And everyone loved this young man. He was handsome. He had an awesome smile. Show them. Yeah. And he was tall. Taller. Even taller. Tall enough. He was tall enough. Yeah. And he had huge muscles in his arms. Show them. Whoa. Huge muscles in his chest. Whoa. Huge muscles in his
Local too. This morning I have part of the cast of the Three Musketeers. And I always like to say plus because there was another one there. Now, could you introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Michael Lucy.
I'm Kate Verneberg.
I'm Annie Laplante.
And I'm Véronique Auger-Drolet.
Now, give me a little bit about your history, how you got together, where you're from, and why you're doing this play in the grade schools, bringing it around the province, I presume, or the country. Okay?
So I'm from Montreal, and I moved to Toronto about a year and a half ago, and I saw an audition notice for DuffleBag Theatre, and I heard really good things about them. I knew that there was a lot of improv involved, and that they like to hire comedians, and everything was really funny. And so I auditioned. I loved the people in the room, and I've been working with them ever since.
My name is Kate Verneberg. I'm originally from Ottawa, but I went to theatre school in Toronto, and I've stayed there. So I've been in Toronto, I guess, for about 8 years now. And I entered the company at the same time as Michael did in September last year. I think one of the factors probably that got me into this troupe is that I'm wildly funny, but also that I'm an Anglophone who speaks French, and we travel around with the bilingual troupe, and so that's a definite plus. Yeah.
My name is Annie Laplante, and I'm from a little village in New Brunswick called Petit Rocher. I studied theatre in Moncton, which is maybe a bit more known to people in New Brunswick. And I've been in Toronto for about a year, and with DuffleBag since January. And what I really love about DuffleBag Theatre is that all of the physical theatre aspects, the clown aspects, because I have some background in clown, so I absolutely love to be able to explore that and to play interactively with the kids in the audience.
Now, did you move to Toronto specifically for the DuffleBag Theatre, or to pursue a career in?
Yeah, to pursue a career in a different province.
Okay.
Hey, so I'm Véronique Auger-Drolet. I'm from Quebec City. And just like Michael, I saw that there was an audition for DuffleBag Theatre, and I went to the audition, and it was actually a really fun audition to do because I got to play, and that was fun. And when they hired me, I was really happy. And I've been with the company for, I think this is my 4th week. So yeah, I'm pretty new to the company, and I love working with these guys because there's a lot of support from them, even if you don't remember your lines or anything like that, which you're supposed to remember, but if you don't, you know that these guys are gonna back you up, and that's really nice to have that kind of support. Yeah.
Okay, can you guys give me some history about the DuffleBag Theatre? Like, how long has it been going on, and what's the main purpose of it?
Sure. So DuffleBag Theatre started 20 years ago in June of 1992. They started off in London, Ontario at the London International Children's Festival, where they asked a company to come and entertain children in line while they waited for the big shows. So Marcus Lundgren and Rod Keith were 2 of the founding members. They brought big duffel bags filled with a bunch of things that they bought from costume shops and started entertaining kids while they were waiting to go see the big shows. But then they got so popular that we started becoming the big shows, and we started touring all over Ontario and London, and then they said, let's bring it to Toronto. And then they said, well, there was a lot of demand in other parts of Canada, so we started going to different provinces. So now we pretty much cover all of Canada. We go down to the United States and New York State, and every fall we actually go, I think it's our third year, we go to Southeast Asia. We go to Singapore, Vietnam, Brunei, and Malaysia. And I know that we're returning again this year in October. So that's pretty much the history of it. We've been around for 20 years. We do over 600 shows a year, 18 actors about in the company. And so right now we actually have people here in Sault Ste. Marie, people in Toronto, people in New York State, and people in British Columbia. So that's why we call ourselves the nearly world famous DuffleBag Theatre, because we haven't been everywhere yet, but we have been to a lot of places.
So with 600 shows, you guys shouldn't forget any lines.
It's not 600 shows each.
Okay, now, was this project chosen for you, the Three Musketeers chosen for you, or you chose it and put it together?
Sure. The artistic director of the company, Marcus Lundgren, kind of goes through the roster of shows we do. We do a total of about 14 different shows, and every year the bilingual troupe performs 4 of those shows in a bilingual version. And they're a little bit different every year. There are some standards that the company's performed many times, like Le Petit Chaperon Rouge, the Little Red Riding Hood. This year, the new bilingual show for the bilingual troupe is La Belle et la Bête, the Beauty and the Beast. And Three Musketeers is fairly new. I think it's been around for about 3 years, and it's just started being, I think, a bilingual show in the past 2 years. And so what happens is our booking agency sends it out to school boards of Ontario and says, these shows are on offer. Which shows would you like to see? The ones that Marcus has already selected for that season, this season. And they say, we would like to see Three Musketeers. It's been very popular this year. We've done a lot of it. And so we come up here, and we're doing Three Musketeers all week, actually. It's super popular here in the Sioux.
Now, how do you keep it at a level, at a child's level? Because Three Musketeers has been known to be an adult or 14 plus. Now, how do you change it up to make it at a child's level?
We do an adaptation of every fairy tale that we work on, just to make sure that it's appropriate for the age range that we're looking for, and also to add a little bit of the things that we do as a company that's the same in every single play that we do. Like we call them shticks, the little funny shticks, little bits. So that's yes, many names in both. They're funny. That's the main point. So yeah, we do adaptation, and we also bring in kids from the audience. So that also makes it more appropriate for the age range.
How does that work? When you bring the children up, what do you have them do? Portray a soldier or a musketeer, or? There
are selected parts in the script that are for the kids. We try to pick the ones that are more fun. For example, Three Musketeers, they play Athos, Aramis, and D'Artagnan. So all of the fun characters in Cinderella will pick a kid to be Cinderella. So, and the narrator, the one that's telling the story, is the one responsible for picking the children in the audience. And usually they try to look for kids that are very alive, they are excited. You can see in their eyes that they would love to be on stage. And then we bring them up and they have fun with us. The narrator directs the kids to do actions and say things, and sometimes they also improvise some stuff, and we just go along with that because it's fun. That's what makes every single show different.
Yeah, they do that, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
And we like to give them a lot of freedom too. Like, we don't necessarily tell them what to say. We like to say, instead of saying Constance gasped, we'll say Constance was shocked. So she'll usually give us a what? Or oh my goodness, So that's where we like to play, and that's where the teachers love to see the kids make up things on the spot. And what we really love is choosing children. Like Annie said, we like to choose children that are really excited and whatnot, but it's great when we choose a child that's kind of shy and would not have chosen to perhaps to be on stage if we gave her the option at first. Well, I mean, if they do not want to come up, they don't need to, but a lot of times when we ask them to, they very politely come up. And it's really nice to see that unfold, like a really shy child getting all the support from all their classmates and being really excited, and that's kind of what we love, is seeing
And that might even get them excited about doing something like this for the future. Yeah, okay, great. Now, what are your characters?
So I play the cardinal, Richelieu, who's actually a bad guy, and it's really interesting to play that kind of character because after my first scene, people actually start booing all the time when I come on stage. So it's a bit hard.
It breaks your heart?
I don't feel loved. But you are loved. Yes, I am loved.
And yeah, go ahead.
And I play a waitress as well, and that character is fun to play. Actually, the cardinal is fun to play too. It's just that you got to get used to the kids just going boo. But it's actually nice to see this because don't get a chance to do that very often. Very rarely will we tell children, okay, so it's okay for you guys to boo. So when they get a chance to do it, I think that's why they get really excited and they're really good at booing.
Now, back in those days, the waitress was known as a barmaid, right?
Right.
Okay, that's where the adult part comes in.
Yes, but you do order chocolat chaud.
Okay,
Hot chocolates.
what's your character?
I play Porthos, one of the Three Musketeers, and he's very proud, but also very naive, and really loves karaoke.
in our version, of course.
In our version, really loves improvising songs out of the blue whenever he feels like it. So yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Because we know that back in those days they had karaoke machines. It was very popular.
Yeah. Okay.
I play the Comte de Rochefort, who is the cardinal's henchman, and I like to imagine Rochefort as being kind of a human version of a rat, a very small body and sort of chasing around, just doing the cardinal's bidding. When the cardinal's around, I always seem to wind up, even though I'm much taller than Veronique, I'm always kind of crouching below her shoulders. But when I find that, Rochefort is alone, he kind of comes into his own a little bit and starts bossing people around. But as soon as the cardinal comes back, he becomes a little henchman. I also play D'Artagnan's father, who is old and decrepit, but used to be a musketeer, and takes great pride in teaching his son how to sword fight.
Okay.
And I'm Michael, and I play the narrator, and so I'm kind of the straight one around all this chaos. So I'm the one who's able to bring the story back in when things get crazy.
And you don't get booed.
I don't get booed. I do not get booed, no. It's actually great. I like being the narrator a lot because we do the show over and over and over again, and there's a lot of room for improvisation, so we make a lot up as we go, especially with what the kids give us and whatnot. I think all of them, they probably won't admit it, but the actors love to mess with the narrator and kind of throw things at the narrator to try and mess him up and whatnot, and that's kind of a game that we have within the show. Yeah, you love it. So they love, and the kids love when people pick on the narrator. For some reason, I don't know why, they love when they pick on the narrator, and so I think the actors like it just as much. So it's fun for me too. It's great, and it's
Okay,
All fun and game, no bullying.
no bullying.
No, it's all fun
It's
and
really
game.
fun.
when did this tour start of the Three Musketeers, and where did it start?
Okay, well, yeah, I guess out west.
Oh, I guess. Yeah, well, our season usually runs for the school year, so September to June. And yeah, I guess that's this year's cycle. Three Musketeers started in September.
You did quite a few schools in Toronto, in the Toronto
Yes,
area?
the Toronto bilingual tour opened in late January, actually, and Mike and I were with another troupe that went out west to through Saskatchewan and Alberta, and in the fall, and we did Three Musketeers in a bilingual version out there as well. Yeah.
And where does it end, and when?
Well, hopefully it doesn't.
No, I mean just this tour of the Three Musketeers.
Well, our tour here in Sault Ste. Marie ends on Wednesday, but we are going back to Toronto. We are still doing many Musketeers until the school year ends. So we still have a whole schedule until the school year ends. Me and I are going to Ottawa for the Ottawa Children's Festival at the end of May, and we have, I believe, 1 or 2 Musketeers, as well as some Rumpelstiltskins. I'm actually not quite sure. I believe that's the shows that we have. And so we literally go on until the end of the school year, so mid-June, sorry. And hopefully it will start up again next season. I mean, it definitely will, but we don't know if people will still want the Three Musketeers because we've done a lot. So a lot of schools have seen the Three Musketeers this year.
During the summer months, you'll be on Broadway doing this?
Sure, if you have connections. Right, yeah.
Bring them along, bring them
Like
along.
film at it, whatever.
Yeah.
Before Broadway, we will be at the Grand Theatre tonight.
Oh, yeah,
performing
okay.
Cinderella.
Okay.
So welcome, come and see us. It's
Okay.
a fundraiser for the Arts Council. So.
Well, thank you very much for this, and break a leg.
Thanks.
And so, with that, the two